Once a staple of the high street, Game was the go-to place for many gaming enthusiasts, but little did they know troubled times lay ahead with fierce competition and an ever-evolving marketplace. Can Game survive the digital era? Or will it fall like many other titans of the high street? This is the rise and fall of Game. The rise. The seeds of Game started in the early 1990s when Peter Whitkins and Neil Taylor started the Game brand. Initially, growth was funded by the Taylor family and venture capital investors, which opened a whopping 86 stores across the United Kingdom. This massive growth did not go unnoticed, which led to their acquisition by Electronic Boutique plc in 1999, another retailer that specialized in gaming. The Game brand became so big that shortly after, many of the Electronic Boutique franchisees were rebranded as Game in April of 2002. The growth did not stop there. They also purchased Game Wizards in Australia as well as acquiring various other competing brands across Europe. In September 2006, Game made a move to purchase its main rival Game Station, which resulted in many Game Station stores closing or yet again being rebranded as Game stores. The fall. Cracks started to show in the Game empire when in March 2012 major publishers like Nintendo, Capcom, and Electronic Arts refused to supply their latest titles due to concerns over Game's credit-worthiness. To explain how this works, if Game were to go into administration, publishers would lose the stock sold to Game on credit only to have it liquidated once the chain goes into administration to pay other creditors. And they were right. On March 26, 2012, Game entered administration. Many long-term Game customers noticed that they had been charged twice for many titles at the time, and they started to heavily discounting games in store. Game put this down to a system error on the website, but was all a ruse to keep the company afloat while it tried to find a way out of administration. They didn't have to wait long, as just a week later Op Capita would rescue the Game group, but at a price. This was at the cost of the Australian business and the Irish and European divisions, which were subsequently closed or sold. To add to this, Game's flagship store in Oxford Street lease expired, which they did not renew. In 2014, Op Capita announced Game had returned to profitability, but this was only brief. Energized by the release of a new generation of consoles such as the Xbox One and PS4, but as these consoles began to age out, Game's troubles began again, along with the ever-growing threat of digital releases straight to the consumer via digital download. Game's presence on the high street was not missed. Gone were the days of queues round the block for the latest Halo. Now consumers have the comfortability to have games delivered to their doorstep or downloaded to their console. Along with many high street shops like Asda and Tesco also selling games at a price they can't compete with. One such instance was during the launch of the 3DS, which resulted in a leaked memo to Game retailer employees which told them to take money from the register, walk down to Tesco and buy a number of 3DS plus Game bundles, walk back to Game, and sell the consoles as pre-owned. These pre-owned units would then be kept as reserve, and once the retailer's allotment of handhelds ran dry, they would be sold at the same price as mint. Tesco, a large supermarket chain in the UK, sells consoles at an enormous loss just to get people in the door and take business away from their competition. One online publisher, Printed Game, Europe's largest specialist video game retailer, resorts to buying 3DS units not from official distributors, but from a supermarket. Embarrassing. As the high street evolved, the need for brick and mortar stores decreases. Op Capita, seeing this downfall, offered to sell the Game Group to Mike Ashley's Fraser Group for $52 million, which resulted in many Game stores being closed and relocated as concessions inside nearby Sports Direct stores. In January 2024, the retailer announced it would phase out trade-ins and pre-owned games by February. And in June 2024, the retailer announced it would be ending its long-running reward point scheme, which allowed buyers to stack up points, which can then be used to purchase games and items from their site. In April 2025, Game's Basingstoke head office closed down, further highlighting the demise of the standalone business. With more integration going towards the Sports Direct and House of Fraser concessions, many of the items in the office went up for sale, including a football table for £120, a Perspex-fronted poster of CJ from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for £30, and many more. The Game website still sells games, but limited in span. Their future looks more in the lines of another fallen online retailers Play.com and Zavvi, which result to selling Funko Pop's Blu-rays and collectibles to stay relevant as we as consumers move to a more online and digital presence, and the value of subscription service like Xbox Game Pass gives us an array of titles to enjoy for the price of a single game. The writing is on the wall. How long will game last in this evolving climate? To being on every high street everywhere to just concessions inside Sports Direct, the fall of game has been dramatic. To narrow games' failures aren't just one problem or factors. The company simply could not compete with big retailers like Amazon and Tesco's, who sell games as a side hustle rather than their core business. These companies can eat up the loss of a game and sell them cheaper, while game's core business model is selling games. For this reason, game failed.